Once upon a time there was a boy. His name was George, in honor of the famous hero. He asked me not to tell him which kingdom he lived in, since he still lives there after his wanderings. When George was a boy, everything was as usual. He played pranks, messed with friends, sometimes obeyed his parents. Sometimes not, sometimes he was cheerful, sometimes sad. He didn't really like to study, but he loved when it was interesting. He came up with all sorts of extraordinary stories and dreamed, like the holy hero George, to win someday an evil dragon or another monster. But when he grew up, he himself, unexpectedly for himself sometimes, he began to turn into an evil dragon or another monster. Yes, the boy George disappeared, and in his place appeared a malevolent creature who wanted to fight, make noise, offend everyone, especially his parents, and throw everything he came across on the road. At the same time, the monster felt offended by the whole world, and only when it had mocked everyone enough and left. The surprised and frightened boy George returned. At first, sensing the monster's approach, George tried to run away to a place where no one knew him. Every time the monster disappeared, the boy hoped that he was free forever. He wanted to forget about the behavior of the monster. He couldn't even believe that it was possible to be like that. But one day, an evil dragon broke several trees on a nearby street, smashed a beautiful gazebo with incredible force, and signed on all sides on a broken bench, "Five-headed dragon org." Now George no longer hoped that the monster would disappear. He decided to consult with his father. Ashamed and upset, he told his father about his transformations. But the father suddenly said, "I was going to warn you about this, George, but I hoped it wouldn't bother you. It will touch you. You know from history lessons that not only Street George, but also other knights fought with dragons and monsters. And sometimes they lost a decisive battle. Some of them died, and some of them agreed. Agreed, how should I tell you? Because it's not written in the history books to obey the dragons and help them. And maybe that's why our kingdom often experiences transformations like yours." "What should I do?" George asked. "I don't want to be a dragon. Many of our young men have tried to fight these transformations. For example, my older brother, my uncle Alexander, yes. He declared that he would kill his dragon as soon as he saw it. I would never have thought that he would be capable of such a thing. He always seemed to me such a gloomy and boring person. He's always so right. Just don't be offended, Dad. It's really true. He became boring and right when he killed himself. The dragon. And you, Dad? Have you been threatened by transformations too?" "Yes, George," his father said, lowering his eyes. "And how did you win?" "I've locked up my monster. Sometimes it turns over and growls, but I try not to let anyone know about it." Poor Dad, George thought. What should I do? I think you can give me some advice. You have experience. No, George, I have no right to give you advice, because I have not been very successful in fighting my monster. But you're not a boy anymore. I've heard that there are wise men. Dad, what if you don't fight? Maybe the dragon will get tired of coming. I'm not aware of such cases, my boy. A dragon, if you don't fight it, doesn't have to leave. And then there is one more dragon in the world. Daddy, help me get ready. I'm going to look for a wise man to help me. Me? How to defeat the dragon org. Maybe I'll be able to find a wise man who can help my father fight the dragon, as Georgie dreamed. And the boy George said goodbye to his parents and went in search of the sage. Whether he traveled for a long time or a short time, he experienced more than one transformation during this time. He asked everyone he met if he was a sage, and one day he heard the words of a strong, sturdy young man who invited him to the school of secret wisdom. "If you want to learn wisdom, come to my school. I want to learn how to defeat monsters." George said, "Why defeat them? I don't want to be a monster. I want to be myself. Study at my school, and you will understand that both you and the monster are just a chain of rebirths. Your task is to get out of this chain. You want to defeat the monster, it wants to defeat you, that's just an appearance. No matter who you think you are, strive for the secret truth. And how do you know that your secret truth is not just an appearance? And George went on. The next middle-aged beardless sage said, your monsters are the shadows of the troubles that happen to you in life. These are your secret desires that you don't admit to yourself. You mean to say that I have secret desires to break everything, to destroy, to offend people? Yes. That's why you turn into a monster. So what should I do? First of all, understand why this is happening. Then you can decide what you allow yourself and what you don't. I agree with you, Sage, but not completely. For example, I would like everyone to know my name, but I did not allow myself to dirty the benches. The dragon allows himself everything, but I can't explain some of the monster's actions to myself. And George went on. He was walking through the forest, reflecting on the words of the second the wise man, and almost stumbled upon a lonely hut. Who lives here? The boy asked. No one answered him. George looked into the hut. It was almost empty. A hard bed, a small hearth, firewood, and an image of Saint George on the wall. George decided to wait for the owner. The owner did not appear for a long time. At some point, it seemed to the young man that he was turning into an organ again. With a great effort of will, he forced the monster to break not the hut, but several dry trees in the forest. And the next morning, George brought these trees from the forest and chopped firewood to help the owner. Finally, the owner appeared. He was an elderly man, his beard was almost grey. He held himself erect and somehow reminded the young man of a saint. George, the sage smiled kindly at the guest. Is there something you want to ask me? Why do you live alone? Don't you like people? I love people and I am happy to help each guest. And I'll help you. I know you don't want to turn into a monster. Yes, but I've heard that it's dangerous to kill a monster. And you can kill something important in yourself. How to defeat this dragon? To win, you have to win 5 times. Then the dragon is finally he'll leave your life. But these should be good victories. If the dragon wins in one of the fights, then you will need to start all over again. But don't be discouraged. You've already won for good victories while you've been traveling. Which ones? Your first victory is that you decided to fight the monster. The second victory came to you when you didn't accept that the dragon was just an appearance. And the third victory is that you agreed to see something evil in yourself, but that the dragon leaned on you. And you made the fourth one here, in this cabin. But I was a monster, the young man confessed shamefacedly. Rather, George, you made him work hard. But be careful, it's hard to keep him from evil. Even now, when you've almost won. If you have a hard time, ask Street George for help. Thank you, wise man. Tell me more. How do you distinguish a good victory? It's a victory that you won't be ashamed of when the fight is over. She leaves no bitterness behind. Go, I believe in you. And remember, if you fail, cheer up, start over. After saying goodbye to the sage, George decided to return to his city, not knowing where there will be a chance for the next fight. When he was approaching his street, he heard a noise and went to see what had happened. A few young dragons were frolicking. They broke down the fence and played with the broken boards, throwing the squealing puppy to each other. George rushed to the rescue. It doesn't cost me anything to transform myself now, thought George. Then I can curb these bullies. They will understand that there is always more power for strength, and they will improve. Will it be a good victory? No, she's hardly kind. The little dragons were frolicking. It is not easy to handle us. Weakling, weakling. It sounded in the young man's ears. Should I call for help? The orc dragon stirred more and more resolutely in George. I'll show them. St. George, help me to win a good victory. not to turn into a monster. It's better to be weak than cruel. George woke up to the puppy licking his face and whimpering softly. The young man struggled to his feet, bent down and stroked the puppy's head. "Let's go home," he said. "Thank you."